Welcome back, Boss Bitches. As always, I am so grateful you're here in today's episode. I'm very excited because this is the first time I'm interviewing a couple, my friends, Brett and Gian. I've actually known them for several years now. I met them through my brother, and we've just grown very close to each other over the years. And, I wanted to bring them on today's episode to talk about being a power couple and how they're leaving a legacy in the world and in our community here in San Diego. So welcome you guys to the Boss Bitch Rising podcast. I'm so grateful you're here.
It's great to be here, Kael.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited.
Oh yeah, ultimately. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love you, Kael, by the way.
I love both of you so much. Like Gian and I met first, and we met through my brother, and it just was like this instant connection that her and I gained with each other. And then over the years, like we've just really hit it off, and our relationship has grown deeper and deeper. And I'm lucky and grateful that we've been able to collaborate over the last several months, even more deeply with each other to support each other's businesses. And, I'm just so inspired and impressed by both of you and how much I've watched you both grow. And then also the transition that you're moving into with the Leave a Legacy Presents events that you're doing. And yeah, we'll get into all of that, a little bit later in today's episode, but I want you guys to introduce yourselves to our listeners. So let's start with Gian.
All right. I was looking to Brett to start. All right, let's go. Okay. So my name is Gian Saunders. I am originally from Nebraska, 402, moved out to California, where I kind of learned that, the definition of a starving artist, like in real life, right? You come out to California, and my rent from Nebraska was $480. Coming out here, you can't find a Harry Potter closet for $480. So I learned the definition of that. I got into the financial industry from my good friend, who I said no to for 6 months. And then honestly met the love of my life in this business, which I never thought I was going to be in, which is super exciting. So I love to read books. I love to hang out with this guy. And I'm kind of like this wonderful, healthy way of a workaholic. I love what I do, and I'm very passionate about it. So I do my work 98% of the time. And my other time is spent with the people that I care about and the leadership roles. So just building together, being servant leaders. So Absolutely. A little bit about me.
Share a little bit about the business that you're in for anyone who's not familiar with what you do.
100%. So Brett and I both run a business out here in California. We are financial professionals. We are training about, I think, 28 agents now direct to us that we're training. We really teach the basic financial concepts because money is a language. And unfortunately, most of us are just not taught that language. So we really sit down with individuals and help them understand, from A to B, C to D, and in a way that they can understand without feeling ignorant. Right. And a great quote is Harriet Tubman said, "I would have freed more slaves if only they had known they were slaves." And so many individuals are slaves to their finances just simply because of education and the lack of. So that's what we really focus on. And we plan to educate and train as many people as possible so we can spread this great knowledge.
And that you are doing. You guys just, again, inspire me and impress me every single day with just how motivated you are to serve the community of people that you're passionate about serving. So, Brett, without further ado, your turn, young gentleman.
Absolutely. I just want to copy and paste what she said, right? But my name is Brett Pipkin, right? I am in business with my significant other here. I was originally born in Shreveport, Louisiana, raised by a single mother she worked very hard, very, very hard to put food up on the table, right? Along with staying with her sister and mother as well, watched her put herself through school. And that was like a great example of what a hard worker was, right? And just seeing that there weren't too many people around me that were doing well financially, I just knew as a young child, you kind of pick that up, right? And you like, I don't want that to be my life, right? Now, like later on in life, I don't want that to be for my children. So this is one of those things that kind of found me, coming from a field of, I used to do truck driving, audio engineer, culinary. I did pretty much everything that did not deal with finances, more so spending money, right? Just to get new equipment or whatnot. But this has been something that has found me as far as becoming a beacon for my community, and now being able to teach what it is that we're not taught, which is financial education. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, again, you guys are really making some powerful strides in the community. And I was lucky enough to speak at an event back in 2021. And these are hopefully going to be very regular events that Brett and Gian are hosting. Leave a Legacy Presents is the name of the events. And can you guys tell us a little bit more about the inspiration that brought you to wanting to host these events?
So I think the biggest thing is Brett is very similar. We're similar to each other. Like, I don't want to say he's similar to me and I'm similar to him. It's weird. And I know I'm just going to make that weird statement. We're so close that we sometimes say sometimes we could be twins, right?
Weird.
Right. So I know we're not trying to Game of Thrones it here, but when it comes down to it, we are so well connected and our goals are so aligned that when we realized how impactful we can be with individuals, a lot of people gravitate towards Brett. A lot of people gravitate towards me. We love to be able to connect with individuals, but then we wanted to take it one step further, right? So being servant leaders, we realized, well, it's not just about us and what we're taking. If we love this information we're getting from all these great people, why don't we share it with other amazing people, right? Like, Kael, we know you, we love you. You have so many impactful things to share with the world and you're doing so many great things, but what if we connect you with someone else that could empower your connection, right? So the fire can blaze a little bit bigger. So we said, let's hook up all these people together. And since then, I know a few individuals have done business together. I know a couple individuals have provided subscriptions and worked at other people's show, been on other people's podcasts. I know some people actually are starting to curate events together because they met at our event. And that's beautiful, right? So it's not how many people we have, it's how many people can we connect with each other. So I'm just really excited to see where these events are going to go, and all Brett's friends and family that really are impactful, all of ours combined, and then we combine them with more people that we meet. Unstoppable.
And I think just in the time too, in the world of what's looking like separation right now, to even bring people together, even in a small room, is a big impact, right? Because it grows from there, and that's what we continue to do. It's just grow, and then what we say, once your cup fills, you give from your overflow. So right. Yeah, that's exactly what we love to do, and show people how to rinse, repeat, right? Absolutely. That's what we should do in life, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I would definitely.
Positive way.
Oh, for sure. I would say the word that was just like coming up for me a lot when you guys were sharing right now was amplified connection.
Oh, yes.
You guys are creating amplified connections. And I'll say personally, every event that I've gone to over this last year that you two have hosted, I have met some of the most amazing, like-minded, similar energetic frequency people who I want to maintain a connection with, even if it's just like on that friend level. Some people goes a little deeper than that. Some people more on a business level. Like, man, the connections that the two of you have helped create with so many people beyond just myself, it's literally an amplified connection. Where just like that energy charge, you can feel it, right? And, so I was really curious about, what is being a power couple? What does that mean for you?
I really do think it's something you should definitely work on being a power couple if you're not. And I'll give you some things too, because a lot of people can't work with each other, especially as a couples, right? Because as far as the conversations, you work together, you come home and like, I don't want to talk about the same thing. I want to leave that where it's at, right? And but for us, it's like, if we're looking to go to the next level, this conversation should never stop, right? We have teammates. Like, how can we get them better? How can we make us better, right? As a people, we got to go to the gym together, right? We got to be on the same level every time, no matter what it is. You feeling bad? Hey, why are you feeling bad? What's going on? You feeling good? Hey, I want to feel good too. I'm not feeling the best right now. So, and we let each other know that. We're very conversational on everything. If something the energy is off, we're not leaving the house like this.
I love it. Quality communication. I think
that's key.
Yeah. Being a leader and being in relationships and relational requires quality communication. That's the foundation of building relationships. That's the foundation of being a high-level leader, is being able to communicate effectively and meet people where they're at too, right? Not everyone's going to have that high caliber level of communication that you might have, and not dumbing yourself down, but being patient enough to guide the communication so that person feels safe in expressing themselves when sometimes it might feel scary, right? Vulnerable.
And I love that you said that, like creating a safe space. And we always like to say we're not just creating safe spaces, we're creating brave spaces, right? We'll probably probably teach our children that it's not just a safe space, but a brave space where you can speak your mind and not get criticized for speaking your mind. Like I really do appreciate that about Brett. And I was looking at someone's I almost said it, podcast, their Instagram, and instead of them doing the lighting of the candles and the candle lighting together, they actually did melting of sand together. And I like the sand, and I'm an ocean individual. We both like water, right? But I think I like this connecting of sand because we're really intertwining everything we do together, and we did it so effortlessly. So being a power couple to me it's easy. Like I want to say, not being a power couple is easy. He makes my life easy, and I only want to hope to make his life easy too. Right? I'm his cheerleader. I'm his number one fan. And he's the same for me. And I know that. Like, I know that I have a ride or die. I know I have a best friend no matter what. Like, even if we disagree or we wrestle it out. Like, we have a disagreement, we literally will wrestle it out. And I've gotten injured to prove it, right? He's like a big, great Dave. Yeah, I'm ruthless. And I don't have to hold back with him. And that's what's cool. Like, we're both very loving people, but we're also single children too. We both were raised as single children. So I really love that you said just doing and like putting everything together, molding everything together. That is true. And we did it so effortlessly. It was just fun with him. It just clicks with him. And that's what makes it very different too. And being a power couple, now we have to have those real ass conversations that aren't always fun to have. Yeah. We have business meetings with each other at the beginning and the end of the month. Right? We make sure that we talk about it. Like if we don't wake up in the morning, like he's like, listen, you didn't go to the gym this morning. We're going to the gym tonight. That's what's happening, right? Hey, listen, I want you to look as good as you want you to look. So this is what your goals are, and I'm holding you to them, right? And then
without saying it though, you know what I mean? It's like one of those languages. It's like if your job, your duty was to make phone calls a day, so how many calls did you make?
Right.
And you know it without me even having to like, okay, so these are the reasons and results of life, right? Like either you get one or the other, right? But results are what we're looking for at the end of the day. So we need those good results that's going to lead us into more great results the next day and the next day and for the next years to come, right? So we got to set ourselves up for success.
Yeah, having that accountability is huge too, right? Like just having someone there to support you with the safety. And, you can be open, you can be brave, you can be vulnerable, be you though, just be you, express what you need to express. But also I'm not going to let the BS slide. Like I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to get after it together. And it's a fine dance too. I think being a power couple definitely has to entail where on your best days, the other partner might not be having a good day. So you got to pick up some of the slack a little bit, knowing that that same dance is going to continue to flow through your two responsibilities over
so
time,
true.
Right?
So true. We're setting ourselves up not just for today, but for the future as well too. So might as well set a strong foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys mentioned something a little bit earlier about being so passionate and on fire for what you do that when you get home, you want to keep the conversation going and you want to keep strategizing and game planning. And I would totally say that as an entrepreneur or business owner, someone who has this bigger vision for their life, and especially if your partner is involved, that can really amplify. Again, we're using this word amplify, but it can really amplify the experience of how quickly you can get to something because now you have that team with your partner, that team feeling with your partner. You're not just doing it by yourself anymore. I think that's beautiful.
What's this one?
Two people
aimed at the same goal.
In love.
And love aimed at the same goal.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Right. So two people in love aiming at the same goal are unstoppable. And we have the same goal. Like our goal is to have a better life for our future and for each other than what we currently have. And we know what that looks like. We get really specific. And we talk our big goals, dreams, and vision. And I support him. So true. That's 100. If you're not aimed, I think goals and understanding what your goals are so important. Right. Because how can you, actually, we just said this the other day, how can you attack it if you don't track it?
Yep. Smart goals, right?
How can you attract it if you don't track it? right? So there's so many things that go into that. So
yeah. Goals get you so pumped. I was talking to a young gentleman yesterday, and I was just telling him it doesn't even matter. Like you got big goals, you got goals for tomorrow, all these type of goals. But like, hey, just start with one goal. Could it be even picking up a piece of trash on the side of the street? I'm pumped now. I'm ready to go to the next goal. You already got started with something. So those small increments of things definitely compound over time.
Yeah.
Just
that reminds me of it was a keynote speech by a naval commander or captain, I want to say. And basically the speech was around making your bed in the morning and why making your bed is so important. Yeah. And have you guys heard this speech?
Yeah.
I personally, tell me. Now
I'll have to send you the link. It's an amazing speech, very powerful, but essentially it's tied around why making your bed in the morning is so important. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's the first thing that you wake up and get out of mm-hmm. That's where you start your day. That's where you end your day. Wake up, you get out of bed. It takes 30 seconds to make your bed. It doesn't have to be tight and beautiful, but when you make the bed, that's the first easiest thing that you can accomplish.
Right?
And then when you get into the bed at night, you can get into a peaceful space instead of a chaotic, cluttered space. Mm-hmm. And so it really sets the tone for the day. And it is all about those small wins, because the small wins compounded on top of each other lead to that bigger win. Right? What motivated you guys to get into the event space and hosting events? And where, the idea of leave a legacy presents, where did that come from?
I would like to say definitely the impact of rehumanizing business as well, because it's like the impact that we know we can make as of single people. Why not try to put that together, right? And get other people that can do the same thing. It's like once you have that light, like I would never dim her light, right? I know she's a beautiful person. A lot of people will try to dim your light, say, well, hate on you for whatever it is. I don't, no, keep shining that, because you're doing something, obviously. You're making an impact. So you just lit somebody else's candle, right? And that person probably didn't even know they had, right? They just had a wick just standing out there, right? So now they can go ahead and go pass that on to the next person too. And they're on and therefore, like, it is just a beautiful thing. But this space that we created, I would like for her to actually say how we came up with the legacy. The legacy presents though, but yeah.
Really funny story about how the name came to fruition, but just for compliance reasons, I guess I'll give the PG rated. There's no X-rated version, but we got fined actually for using our team name out in public as a name, right? As a brand name. So we can't do that. So we had to change it. And I'm like, what? But I'm like, we chose the team name. We wanted to do the team name as far as our business name. I'm like, elevate, let's go. I want to elevate the world, right? So that's what we were excited about. But then since we couldn't use elevate anymore, we had to switch it. So I'm like, well, what makes sense? What really does make sense? And it is true. I love that you said that. It's like lighting other people's fires, but it's like a fire that continuously lights other fires, right? So what's the best way to explain that? Well, when we pass away, we want to leave something behind. What do we want to leave? Most of us want to leave a memory of doing better. What does that mean? That's just leaving a legacy. We want to leave a legacy so that when we pass away, people are like, what did they do for the world? What did they do for the community, right? And maybe not even about us. It's about the feeling that we left after. How many people did we change? How many lives did we impact? That's what feels really good. When we pass away, it's not necessarily the money that people remember. It's how did you make that money? That's what people remember. And I'm excited about that. I really am. I think that's why when we wake up every day and we have a mission to change the world, to become better and do better, not just on our standards, on everyone's standards. Kael's, your standards are different than ours. So that should be highlighted. That's what the beauty of the world is about. So leaving a legacy is just, what do you feel is your legacy and what do you want to leave behind?
Yeah. I just finished reading Gary Vee's book, Crushing It. And what you said makes the one point that stood out the most to me in that book. They go hand in hand. And he says, I want the world to mourn my death when I die. And he's like, I know that sounds really grim, but if there's not a massive amount of people mourning my death when I die, then what did I really do with the time that I had here? And that hit hard for me. I don't know, I've experienced losing a cousin that, she grew up in a very small town. There's like 9,000 people in this town. She had people flying in from all over the world when she passed away. She had over 600 people at her funeral. The amount of people didn't fit in the church. Like, it was insane how many people's lives she impacted.
Yeah.
And witnessing that and being a part of that and knowing that, like, I had such a close relationship with her, but seeing just the hundreds of people that were mourning her death was also inspiring to be a better person, to literally leave an impact on every life you touch. You don't know what the one positive, uplifting thing you said to that person really truly meant to that person, or how that one smile or one act of kindness changed the trajectory of that person's day. Therefore, that person's week was different. They probably went out and did another act of kindness for somebody else. And so it really made me go inward and ask myself, how can I show up better in my relationships and in the world to leave a deeper impact?
I love that you ask yourself that all the time too, because if I can be frank, I hope everybody can start to ask themselves that question if we're already not. Like, we wake up in the morning and say, how can I be better? Yes, but how can I be better for someone else? How can I help someone else be better? How can I impact someone so that they change the whole trajectory of their day in a positive way?
Right.
What value can I bring to someone else today? And if we're not asking those questions, it's kind of like you said, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Love that.
They got what's the lady name? Mel Robbins.
Yeah,
That's
Mel
her name,
Robbins.
Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
I like that she had. We were listening to a podcast, and
The
the high five, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a high five in the morning. You got to understand, like, we don't give ourselves enough credit, right? We work hard as a people. We really do work hard, but we don't give ourselves enough credit. But I remember us we went to the coffee shop. Was it that day? We went to the Coffee Bean. You remember the Coffee Bean?
So
there
yeah.
we ordered our coffees and get
And
to
he
the front
knows my
window.
coffee. I'm sorry, get you a man that knows your entire coffee order. He knows it down to the T. Hazelnut Americano, extra shot, extra hot. With my extra, what is it? What milk?
Coconut.
Hey.
Yeah. So we get
extra
to the
shot, extra hot.
Yeah, that coconut milk. Don't forget the coconut milk. Yeah, she gonna bring it. Watch. So as we pull up, I asked the guy. I'm like, hey, did you give yourself a high five today? He was like, nah, that's weird. Like, oh, do that. It's like, give yourself a high five. Man, that made his day. He lit up. He was like, hey,
yeah.
he's like, hey, $5. I said, we ordered. No, what'd you say?
He ordered like 3 drinks.
Yeah.
I was like, $5. That makes no sense. He's like, ma'am.
I was like, babe,
I'm like,
yeah. So he gave us like
he gave us like 1 or 2 drinks for free.
Just something as simple as that. You don't know what you're gonna do for somebody just to make their day. Just communicate. Just, hey, a smile.
Giving them a smile.
Things work. These things really work. Like, genuinely, just.
And yeah, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I was going to say, what's beautiful about that is Mel Robbins living in her purpose and sharing that with you. And really with the world, right? She's just showing up and she's sharing something that she finds value in. And that impacted you enough to share it with another person. That impacted that person enough that he's probably going to go on and do some more acts of kindness someday.
Right.
And that's what's beautiful.
How showing up in your authenticity and then listening to the call and falling into it really does create that ripple effect where you might not see it manifest in the present reality, but those little acts of kindness, you might feel like not a big deal, right? But it is such a big deal in somebody else's world.
Yeah.
So true.
It's frequencies, man. That's what we move through right there, right? And that just carries on throughout the day. Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's, because you're all about energy, Kael, and I love that about you, girl. That's like, that's sweet. Yeah, that's super. It's a real thing, right? It really is. So.
We lead with our energy. I mean,
yes.
First impression of somebody is usually accurate, as they say, right?
Yeah.
So, my first impression of him was, no, not the bad part. And there was no bad part. It was, I felt his impression. I didn't even see it. I just felt it. And his impression was just emanating love. It was crazy. It was nothing like I've ever experienced. It was like when I first met him, I just felt like a immense love. And it wasn't even like a love for me or at me or to me, but love was just emanating through him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I needed I needed to get to know more. I needed to understand this love, which was different. So I appreciate he's like just an addition like to every aspect of my life, which feels really good.
Give us a little backstory about how you guys met and then, you know, what brought you to where you are now in your relationship.
He's a weirdo, by the way. Let me just tell you that. Like, he is the weirdest person I've ever met. And I think that's what attracted me to him the most. And he'll probably tell the story different, but this is exactly how we met.
How'd it go?
So we were in the office and I'd been working in the office for a little bit longer than Brett. So he came in and I'm not just you can't just meet with anyone and become close to them and on a personal basis at the position that I was in. Like, I'm running my own business. I don't have time. I just don't have time. Got out of a relationship. I just don't have time. I need to focus. So he comes in with the tightest skinny jeans I have ever seen a man wear. I mean, and he's 6'1", tight skinny jeans, moccasin shoes, like 14 bracelets on his arm, dreadlocks, but they're wrapped up in like a little Erykah Badu hat, like bun basket thing. I'm like, is this like a religious guy? Like, I literally thought he was practicing some sort of a religion. I'm like, nobody just walks around like that every day. Like, nobody does that, right? I thought he was gonna come up to me and be like, you know, I'm like, it was different. It was very different, but he was himself. He wasn't being anybody but himself, right? So I remember looking at him and I got this feeling of like, and I was like, no. But I liked it too, right? But I said, absolutely not. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I'm not trying to meet you. But something drew me to go fake pretend I was working at the front of the office. So when he was leaving, I heard his voice. I'm like, I'm going to make sure that I run into him so that we can actually have a natural conversation. So this is me like, I'm faking everything I'm doing on my laptop, right? So he comes out, I'm like, you know who you look like? You kind of look like Andre 3000. And I flipped around like a picture of him, like he laughed. He was like, I've heard that a lot, right? And then he offered me steak, that's my thing. But then this is the first time we ever met. Because he's like, he worked at Tender Green. So he was a chef. He's like, do you like steak? I'm like, yes, what the heck? So, but he gives me a hug. And he doesn't give me a normal hug. Like, he gives me a hug straight from the back. Like, he's behind me, comes up, arms around from the front, gives me a hug. Like, who does that in a professional setting too? I'm like, what is this? But you know, it's crazy because again, the energy that he gave, it wasn't like, I'm trying to be a pervert. It was more like, I'm just, let me love you. You know, let me just love you. And I appreciate it. And he was never pushy. He was never, I don't know. We started talking, we talked about books. We just had good long conversations. And when you can have hours upon hours of conversations with someone just sitting, it's rare, especially when you turn 30, when you're just like sitting there talking, you don't mind that time is just going because time stands still. It's corny because you're enjoying that moment and it doesn't matter what's going on around you. And I just enjoyed that for a good 3, 4, 5 months. And then eventually we got together.
Love it. We're getting married soon in just a couple months here. And man, it's beautiful to watch you guys, you know, flourish together, like come closer together. And then now everything that's really kind of unfolding as the proverbial lotus, right? Opening up and giving more gifts. And I feel like that's where just like listening to your calling and falling into that purpose, but then also creating love energy around you, not necessarily just romantic love energy, but just like you guys have with all of the amplified connections that you've created, that is 1,000% love energy. I know this for a fact because I love all the people that you've connected me with. And I feel like I've known them for decades, but I've only known them for months, but it's just like that pure love connection energy that is, you know, intertwined with these connections. And when you're able to weave that into everything that you're doing, it amplifies everything that you're doing.
So true. So true. And Kael, I felt the same way with you when I met, right? And I feel like we kind of, it just, when it's natural and you feel it, I think that's the biggest thing. We're just starting to flow with that. Like when it's natural and you feel it and it's a positive feel, why not be around the most positive people that make you feel like that all the time, right? So that's what we want other people to feel. So if you have that like mind, And if anybody's in San Diego, California, we're going to be doing a lot more events, right? Please, like we're gonna start connecting more people, not just with the mind, but with the soul, the spirit, the energy, and with goals and ambitions, right? And the passion. I think it's passion. Like a lot of it has to do with passion. Are you passionate? If you're passionate about loving other people and helping other people, that's what we want at our events, right? So,
well, tell us about the future of your events. What do you see in the future? Crystal ball moment here.
Well, our events, let's look real big, real quick. Just having convention halls, having thousands of people show up. Like, okay, we're a little crazy. We plan like our parties way ahead of time, right? So, Great Gatsby style. Let's just say we have a Great Gatsby wedding or theme for our event, and people show up, but it's not just people showing up just to have a party, right? It's people showing up for a purpose, enjoying each other, which turns into a party atmosphere, but we're learning, we're growing, but it's just with a massive amount of people. Like it's like a festival, but for the mind and the spirit. That's cool. So that's long-term Great Gatsby style, right? And themes everywhere, always themes. But then also on top of that, just intimate events. Like I know Brett's coming up. I'll let him tell about, he's going to start doing men's events, right? We initially I wanted to do it just for women, but I wanted to do it with my spouse. Right? I want to make sure that every time we do something together, we're growing together. So instead of me just doing women's events, I said, why don't I do women's and men's at times? You do the men, I do the women, and then we come together and we have a connected one. And that's where really Leave a Legacy came into play. So we invited our closest individuals. You were a part of that first event, right? And we said, hey, listen, all of these people are the core. And for here on out, you guys won't have to pay for any of our events. The payment is telling someone else how awesome this event is and bringing someone else with you when you come, right? Bring someone else with you. Let's tell other people about it. Let's spread the news of good news that way, right? So we're going to have a lot of fun events that are about growth and development, but also just enjoying each other and kind of I've heard people say lotioning it, like, but just giving a lot of compliments to each other about what our successes have been. So what about you, Ben?
Yeah, so me personally, I know that the men, I'm a part of it's called Manix, right? So it's just bringing men together, and you got married, you got some single cats in there as well. But I just know for one, our team is full of women, right? So therefore, it's just like that touching base with like more of the masculine side. I don't have a lot of male friends. Right, I've always been one to kind of be to myself. If I hang with you, I hang with you. If not, then I'm just, I'm back. I don't have a problem with that, but I wanted to start surrounding myself with more men, because men they're hurt as well. They have situations as well, right? So you want to continue to be in tune with those type of things. How can we all heal each other, right? If you can't come home and talk to, what you should be able to talk to your wife or girlfriend about, right? Then you can come here to this space and, hey, let's talk about it, man. Let's work through this, right? We're actually here for each other. It's like, just because I didn't give somebody the time of day back then doesn't mean I'm not going to give you that time. You know what I mean? So, because we're here, we're in an intimate space. I like that, and it's only going to grow from there.
Yeah, and I love that too. I think, sometimes it's harder for men than women to really just open up and talk, especially when they're going through challenging times. And then sometimes they don't want to feel vulnerable or be seen as, weak, even though that's not true. Right. But they want their woman or their spouse or partner to see them as, oh, you're weak because you're feeling this emotion that, a man shouldn't be feeling. Right. And that's all just stories we're telling ourselves. But so true. It's a common, theme that I'm seeing, and we all see in a lot of men who just have trouble seeking support, and having a community of men supporting each other is so beautiful and so needed. And I'm here for it all. I can't wait to just see where the future of your events goes. We are in the infancy stages, right? Like I am just watching develop in real time right now. And I mean, the two of you have a special talent, I guess, characteristic. I don't know what I really want to call it, but you just draw in quality relationships. You have a gravitational pull to these quality people. And then not only being able to attract quality, but then maintaining relationships. And that's sometimes the hardest part. A lot of the times, how often do we go to an event, we network, we make great connections, and then the business cards sit in our briefcase or our purse or that, file that we threw it in when we got back to the office or back home. And then we think about the person, but we never reach out. And then years go by and all we have is them on LinkedIn now. Like that's it went.
That is so true. And I think a lot of the times what you had said is right then, make it simple for yourself. I'm trying to make everything as simple as I can for myself. And I thought, anytime I think of someone, why don't I just message them? That's something right there that I've put in practice. I don't know if you do that, babe, but I know he's really good at following up with people and staying. He's like, oh yeah, I met this guy one time and we're like friends and I can call him. Like he has that talent, right? I think I have that talent as well, right? So it's pretty amazing that both of us connected and just followed up, right? But when we think about individuals, why don't we just text them then? At that very moment, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, text them. Pick up the phone and text them, because if you had the thought come to you to think about them, that's an invitation right there to say, well, maybe that person misses thinking about me or misses being thought about. Why don't I just let them know? Like, Gail, if I didn't tell you that your earrings look great today, right? And I had to squint in a little bit more because they always look great, but I had to look at them a little bit more, right? And I would say rude of me, but you know what I mean? Like, you took the time to put on those earrings, not just for me, for yourself, right? For yourself and other people. So if I don't even say I appreciate that, like, come on. Like, why don't we just appreciate others a little bit more? I think that when we think about them, that's appreciating them, telling them that we were thinking about them.
Absolutely. You really are like, you guys just have so many amazing qualities, and I'm just so grateful to know both of you. And now I'm grateful to be able to share you with my audience and just continuing to create those amplified connections. Are you going to be hosting any virtual events for all of our listeners that aren't currently in San Diego?
No.
Well, and the reason
not coming up soon. Now, we do a lot of Instagrams and live events. One thing that Brett and I haven't, and I'll share it with you guys. So since we like Kael a lot, we talked about this and we haven't really put it implemented it. Yeah. I almost said put it into implementation. Oh my gosh. So we want to kind of start doing this year, is start doing more lives together where people ask us questions about relationships, business, and life, and living and working and being together. Because like you had mentioned before, we are together like 99.999% of the time, like literally all the time. But I love that. And to my knowledge, he loves that too. So it's like, I think that we're going to start doing more lives. Like, we were doing that at the beginning a little bit, but we're doing more lives together where people are actually asking us questions. We're doing some more events like that, but I don't know if they'll be scheduled and planned. So maybe we'll have to start scheduling and planning, like, hey, we're going live, making a flyer about it, and then kind of promoting it.
It's not a no. It's just, we got to plan it.
We just got to really plan it out.
Yeah, of course. Well, where can my audience find the two of you online?
Well, you can find me at Pipkin Brett, that's IG. And if any other platform, is just Brett Pipkin.
Cool. Pipkin ain't easy. Like Pimpin from Pipkin. And on Instagram, my name is Fierce Female Financier, FINANCIER, Fierce Female. I know it's a mouthful. You can find me on TikTok now. I just read books on there, but I'm gonna start getting a little bit, but I read books on there. Yeah, it's still little fun things. And then both of us, you can find us at Scripps Ranch at our office all the time. But then we're also going to be doing some events. So honestly, stay tuned to our Instagram. We have one coming up next month, which is February 28th. It's going to be an all women's event. So that one's going to be fun. And Kael's going to be a part of it. So I'm excited. And it's all about putting yourself first as a woman, so that you can give from your overflow, right? So it's going to be all presidential themed, and we got some really cool surprises for that for the ladies. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that. And Brett's going to do one in March.
Yeah, mid-March. Yeah,
a mid-March for the fellas.
I'm so excited. And if, all of our listeners that aren't following them yet, of course, they're going to be featured on my Instagram as well as YouTube. So you'll find all of their links there as well. But before we leave, what are 2 books, one from each of you, that you would recommend to our listeners?
Oh, you go first because I got 2 good ones.
2 books?
Well, 1 book each or 2.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you because the first when I first started my first business venture, there was a book that my mentor handed to me, and it was just Think and Grow Rich. That was just a book that very much so expanded my mindset. And there was a story particularly that was called 3 Feet from Gold. Right.
That's a good one.
And I don't know if I should like kind of talk about it a little. Yeah, why not? But of course, there's this gentleman, he bought a lot of, this is during the gold rush, right? This gentleman bought a bunch of equipment just to dig to find this gold, right? It's digging day in and day out in this one place, day in and day out. He gives up, right? He's like, I'm deciding to sell all of my stuff. I'm just going to sell all my equipment. He sells it to a guy. This guy starts back in that same place, right? He starts digging in that same place, finds it, 3 feet, he hits the gold. This guy's rich. He finds the gold mine. Just to never give up on your dreams. No, do not quit, right? You're that close. You're one decision away from just becoming that much more excellent.
Exactly, right where you're supposed to be. I was going to say, like, usually it gets the hardest right before you have that breakthrough. You want to give up so bad right before you have that breakthrough. Right. And looking back, I mean, I know I've been there a bunch of times in my life where it's like looking back on it, you're like, I did all of these things right. And I had a bunch of confirmation moments that I was on the right path. And then I kind of hit a stroke of bad luck, if you will, or a season of bad luck, if you will. And I don't even really believe in bad luck. I just really believe in there were lessons that we need to learn in this season. And there might have been mistakes that we made, right? We have to take responsibility. There's probably a lot of mistakes that we made in there and choices we could have made differently. But how can we learn, adapt, and then grow from all of that? And if you have those confirmation moments in the past of like, you're on the right path, you're on the right path, you're on the right path, then you hit that tough season is there to prepare you for that level up that you've been waiting for. So don't give up so easily.
So true. That is so true. Good book, babe. That was a good one. I think a book for me would be Keys to the Kingdom. That is such an incredible book for individuals who are in this area of their life where they're trying to figure out why there almost seems like a war between men and women. Like, why is there just like this, oh, men? Well, that's exactly the attitude that's going to prevent you and repel you from attracting the great people in your life. And I don't even mean as a relationship, like sexually, I mean as a relationship, period. There is no issue with men. We're just very different. And men and women are very different. And if we can understand each other a little bit better, we can grow with each other a lot better. So I love that book. I definitely recommend that book. And then I personally read this book about 3 years ago, but The Masks of Masculinity. That's a really great book too. Masks of Masculinity. Yeah, I forgot who that's by, but beautiful. Those are my two suggestions.
Well, thank you for sharing those book suggestions and just all the beautifulness that you guys had to bring into today's episode with us.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the things that come for you two in the future. And of course, I'm grateful to be a part of it and cheering you guys on along the way.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
And we are all on this journey together too. Just know that we're headed up that mountain, right? It's one way up, right? That's where we're all headed. It's one way up. See, the people that we see going down, hey, they just kind of, they went sideways, right? They kind of dragged down, but it's okay, right? We got to keep heading up there, and we got to keep showing them, hey, there is something up here for you. We just got to keep pushing for it. So, like I said, it's only one way up, and let's keep on this journey and continue supporting each other on this journey as well, because we're all going to win at the end of the day. We are going to win. Winning has no color. Right.
Like they say, when there's a will, there's a way, right?
Way,
right.
Let's go.
I love that. That is so true. And I just appreciate being on this journey with you too. And I'm glad that we have awesome people like you in our corner. So Kael, thank you for having us on this show. I hope we were able to impact some individuals. And for all those who are couples and maybe thinking about starting a business with your spouse, do it, right? Do it. Just be on the same page.
Yep. Communication.
I love it. Communication.
All right, guys. Love you so much. Thanks again.
Love you too, Kael.
Thank you, Kael. Appreciate you.